Leaders go wrong when they become stuck with one metaphor or the other, and what this does is they start appearing to be one-dimensional in their range of styles and approaches. When we talk about leadership, we need to understand how to enable leaders of change to explore the different roles they and their colleagues need to play in a change process, identify how leaders of change can adapt their style and focus to the different phases of the change process. Third, emphasize the importance of self-knowledge and inner resources that play a key role in any leadership role. Now, leadership is a fascinating subject. We all have different experiences and different views about what makes for a good leader, and many of these views are those we hold very strongly. There are many contradictions in this, because it's always intriguing to see how leaders of different styles can be equally successful. If I give you an example of a leader whose style can be termed autocratic, I'm sure you can give me an example of a leader whose style is more democratic. So this is quite a baffling situation, especially for those who are wishing to make a rational assessment of what works in leadership and what doesn't. How do we get to the truth about leaders? Can we look at our heroes? Does that give us some clues? The hero leader is an enduring theme in any discussion on leadership. Even the process of asking people to name their top leader encourages an very individualistic perspective and automatically results in naming of heroes. We may not have very clear answers to this question, but it is fascinating to look at a very recent real life example. Colonel Tim Collins was a big name. You probably know who Colonel Tim Collins is. He was involved in the Iraq war. He gave an inspirational speech to his troops on the eve of the war. And his speech was so motivating that he became an icon. President Bush, the then president of US Bush, he pinned up a copy of that speech on a wall in his presidential office. Prince Charles wrote to the colonel personally, and he came to epitomize everything good about British officer. One of the reporters who was present when this speech was made says that Collins' speech was extempore. It was not prepared. It was extempore, and it was a very moving occasion. There had just been, because we are talking about a desert here, there had just been a sandstorm, and all the men were standing around the colonel in a U shape in the middle of a very dusty courtyard. A lot of the personnel were very young, and therefore he wanted to explain something of the history and culture of Iraq to them. The soldiers knew that the public back home had doubts about the rightness of this war. They knew that people are questioning, was it right for Britain to be part of this war? Therefore, the colonel wanted to reassure them and tell them why they were there. So he delivered the speech without any note, and it went on at length, and like I said, he became a hero. This was 2003. Cut to 2008. The same hero had this to say, and I quote, "When I led my men of the 1st Battalion, the Royal Irish Regiment across the border into Iraq, we believed we were going to do some good. What I had not realized was that there was no real plan at the higher levels to replace anything. It was a battalion commander trying to explain to his men why they would embark on a war that came to public notice. The irony is that I made certain assumptions that my goodwill and altruistic motivations went to the top. Clearly, I was naive." So we have a situation here that the same colonel who was a hero in 2003 and who was very disappointed in 2008. This story is of course much longer than what I am going to share with you, because you probably know the story. There were a lot of aspersions cast against him. So who is a hero? Who is a leader? It's a very tough question to answer. The strategic change process, therefore we have to go back to our previous observation that we have to look at a mix of behavior: coercive, authoritative, democratic, and so on. So there is perhaps no one leadership style which holds all the answers. Not all sorts of changes may need to happen as a result of an external force, but typically we need to adjust one or all of the following: the organization structure, the commercial approach, the organizational culture, and the relevant processes. So these need to be addressed as part of the change. I would like to end this session by just highlighting two seminal work, one by Kode's 8-step approach to change management. This is one of the most well-known approaches to management of change, and this was postulated by John Kode. He suggested that management of change must begin with creation of a sense of urgency to deal with change. He says, or he suggests, that with urgency low, it is difficult to put together a group with enough power and credibility to guide the effort. To get the key individuals to spend the time necessary to create and communicate the change vision. The 8 steps suggested by Kode are establishing a sense of urgency, creating a guiding coalition, developing a vision and strategy, communicating the change vision, empowering employees for broad-based action, generating short-term wins, consolidating gains, and anchoring new approaches in culture, in the overall culture. So this is it's a recipe that one might want to look at when embarking on managing change. The other model which I would like to draw your attention to is what is called the ADKAR model, a copyrighted model, where the ADKAR, they stand for awareness, desire, knowledge, ability, and reinforcement. The first two, ability, the awareness and desire, they serve to sensitize and energize the stakeholders in the change management process. Knowledge and ability provide the means to implement the change, and the last element, reinforcement, serves to cement the change management process in place and prepares the ground for future round of changes. What we have gone through in this journey of ours over 2 sessions on change management is we looked at change, we looked at how e-governance itself is a big change agent, big force of change. We looked at individuals and how they play a key role in change, team change, organizational change, leadership styles, metaphors for organizations, and we looked at 2 concrete examples, Kota's 8-step and the ADKAR example, which is used quite commonly in the change management exercises. In summary, we can say it is neither common nor easy for people and organizations to anticipate and embrace change. Resistance to change, whether out of fear or ignorance or indifference or due to a host of other factors, appears to be natural reaction rather than reaching out with. The various models of change management aided by open two-way communication helps in guiding organizations towards their desired position. I hope with these 2 sessions and this brief introduction to change and change management, we have some understanding of how we need to prepare ourselves when we are planning to implement an e-government solution. We hope you will go through the other sessions where we talk about where we look at actual case studies and how in real life changes have been managed using the learning that we have obtained from these 2 sessions. Thank you.